Welcome back, A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Again, thank you guys for making A to Z part of your everyday sports listening here in the ATL. All right, Braves get a win last night over the Milwaukee Brewers, and they will finish up their series with Milwaukee today in a afternoon game, a 1:10 start. So they try to take 2 of 3 from Milwaukee again. But, last night, no, by the way, Max Fried is on the mound against Corbin Burns today. So should be a good pitchers matchup. If you look at last night, it felt like a game a little bit, and I've been sort of critical of the Braves, but it felt like a little bit like a game that the Braves won a lot of last year, right? You got a good starting pitching performance. You had Ronald Acuna, whose first game back since May 10th. He goes 1 for 3, 2 walks, has a stolen base. His groin seemed fine. He was running well. He was tagging up. I mean, he did everything that you wanted to see him do from that standpoint. So he looked good from there. And then, you after the quality start again, you get the big home run from Marcelo Ozuna to give him a little breathing room, and they win the game 3-0. And while, the score might not have epitomized what a game from last year was like, it was just one of those things where you got a lot of guys to do a lot of different things right, and you won a ball game against a really good team. That's kind of, what I took away from last night. And, I know that things may get worse before they get better. I know that they may struggle to get above 500 here over the long haul, but, baseball is weird like that. You start to see different signs every single day of what you're going to be good at and what you're going to struggle at. So I think overall, yesterday certainly was a little bit of an emotional uplift, especially after the 1-0 loss and the great game that you got pitched from Ian Anderson. And now you get Max Fried. If you get 3 really good starts in a row against this team, I feel good about them hopefully starting to turn the corner. But again, the competition isn't going to get easier. They've got to go take on the Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins again. And so, there is a lot of work left to do here to get this team back to where, a lot of people feel they should be from a respectability standpoint. And look, they've had their own set of issues with, the bullpen and everything else. And Tyler Matzik now goes on the DL, as you guys hear my dog barking in the background. Never mind that. But Tyler Matzik heads on the DL, and so they're going to need people to step up in the bullpen and figure out what the rest of this season is going to look like for them. And if they can get 2 or 3 here, and then really start to take off a little bit, maybe, just maybe, we'll start to feel a little bit better about this team as we hit Memorial Day weekend. All right, speaking of big weekends, and speaking of weekends that we'll celebrate, Labor Day weekend is coming up. Maybe it's a little bit far away, but nonetheless, you got the big Labor Day weekend football games that we are all sort of looking towards, and one of them obviously being Georgia and Oregon, as they will get things kicked off in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl kickoff, Chick-fil-A Peach kickoff, whatever you call it. I don't know. Anyway, you have Georgia and Oregon, and then Notre Dame at Ohio State, and ESPN College Game Day will be at Columbus for that day. But it's the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic. Thank you. See, it took me a second, but eventually my hamster gets back on the wheel. And Georgia, Oregon is nice, but Notre Dame and Ohio State, like when you get those two helmets playing each other and everybody knows about it, there is absolutely going to be that's going to be the biggest ticket in town. And I think Georgia, Oregon at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is going to be a blast. You get Dan Lanning going up against his former team in his first game ever as coach. It's really, sort of quirky how that all worked out, I guess coincidental, if you will. But nonetheless, Marcus Freeman gets to coach his first regular season game at Notre Dame against his alma mater in Ohio State. So there's a lot of, connectivity and synergy there in the opening weekend of college football. But you also get that Sunday night game of Florida State and LSU in New Orleans on September 4th. All that happening on Labor Day weekend. And really, college football has done an amazing job at making Labor Day weekend theirs, right? Because there's really nobody, like the NFL hasn't started yet, but I feel like they've had their last preseason game by the time Labor Day rolls around. Baseball doesn't make a big deal of Labor Day more than anything else. So college football is smart to own that weekend and really just, suck up all the bandwidth from everybody else. And I think they did a really, really good job at that. But Georgia, Oregon. Some people were contending that they sort of got robbed a little bit, that they didn't put the defending national champion on College game day and the primetime game that night. Again, it's not about defending national champion unless your name is Alabama or Ohio State or Notre Dame, right? Like Georgia's a huge national program. I'm not saying that at all, but there are other programs that just continually have the public draw because of, and Notre Dame is one of them. Notre Dame hasn't been good at all, but they're still the biggest national brand when it comes to television. So they get Ohio State in a 7:30 prime window, and Georgia has to be relegated to the 3:30 kickoff. But again, there's not really a lot of it's not necessarily about talent or anything else about players. Like, I heard some people in town talking about, well, Stetson Bennett. They're not going to, it's the helmet, guys. It's not the person wearing the helmet. It's always going to be the helmet when it comes to college football. So, but the Florida State LSU game should be interesting. Brian Kelly making his head coaching debut at LSU against Florida State, a team that he went up against a lot while he was at Notre Dame in the sort of pseudo ACC. That should be a lot of fun. And then there are some other big games that have been leaked out as far as when television is doing in Wisconsin at Ohio State, Texas at Oklahoma, Florida at Florida State. All those going to be, national games. Alabama and Texas is going to be on Fox September 10th. That's the weekend. It's week number 2, the week after Labor Day weekend. And dear Lord, boy, that could be Sarkisian's just sort of like short-term execution if that doesn't go well. To get embarrassed right there in that spot. Yeah, especially there. I think that game is at Texas too, right? It is. Yeah, it's at Texas. So I assume that game is in Austin. I don't think they went neutral site with that one, but nonetheless, Sarkisian against his former boss and a Texas team that, well, had a lot of disappointment last year and not a lot of celebration. So we'll see how Sark and company do. All right, that does it for us here today on A to Z. Again, appreciate you guys spending some time with me. Give me a follow on Twitter at Mark Zinno. Hit me up there. Tell me what you love about the show. Love to hear from you guys. Love to hear the feedback. Don't forget to subscribe and like to our YouTube channel, Locked On Sports Atlanta. We're free on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast, you search Locked On Sports Atlanta. Thanks for making A to Z your first listen every day. Make your next listen Hitting Hard with John Chuckery. The ATL Sports Talker has everything you need from Hawks, Braves, Dogs, Falcons, whatever it may be. He's got you covered all the way from A to Z. See how I did that? See how I wrapped his show into my show? I'm talented like that. But we appreciate you guys supporting us. Again, over 1,000 subscribers already. Keep it going. Tell a friend. We'd love to have you guys here. That does it for A to Z. Back tomorrow on on Thursday as we wrap up here this Wednesday on A to Z. You guys have a great day. Don't get any crap from anybody. See ya.